So good evening, everyone. We're here with the cast of Othello 2023 with 60-hour Shakespeare. So let's begin with a round of applause, everybody. Yay, so good to be here. We have some castmates and a lot of exciting questions to ask. So let's get it started. My first question is for everybody. So one by one, please answer. I would like to know which character are you playing, if you do like it. And just one reason why you are excited to play this character. Whoever wants to begin.
So I'm playing Iago, and I'm very excited because I think he's incredibly misunderstood, and he's actually a lovely man. So I'm going to try and bring that out.
Interesting take.
I'm Kieran Donnelly. I'm playing Rodorigo. I'm looking forward to hitting someone with a big stick.
Thank you so much.
I'm Susannah. I'm playing the Duke. I'm just excited to find a little bit about him. I don't know very much about the Duke, so that's exciting for me.
Agreed.
I'm Nettie Chickering. I'm playing Othello. I love this play. I think this is such an important story, and I'm really excited to find and go on this crazy emotional journey and arc of a character. It's really exciting.
I am Joe Penczak. I am not playing Desdemona because of my beard. Although,
That's weird, though. Wow, I was expecting you to play Desdemona. I'm slightly disappointed.
maybe I can do something about it. No, I'm playing Brabantio. I'm very excited to get to Reading, where I will do some reading about this play. There was a pun there. I am bringing all of my dad jokes, my Brabantio dad jokes, to this production.
We can't wait for that. So, since we are working with a very specific company called the 60-hour Shakespeare, which is a very cool concept for, I mean, if somebody out there has been living under a rock and doesn't know how it works like it's a Shakespeare boot camp, basically. We start rehearsing and go on opening night, that is also closing night, over 60-hour time, which is I'm not telling how it is because I want to know from the people who have already worked with 60-hour Shakespeare how it feels. Nettie?
It is a marathon. It is bringing people from all over the world. I am usually in New York City, coming from the States to a beautiful location to work outdoors with new people. But it's really just taking what we have built separately and bringing it all together. And I think it's really interesting to see how the play is pieced together in a very short amount of time, as Shakespeare's players would have done it. I think it's really, it's a marathon, and it keeps you on your toes because you're building towards something and you have a limited amount of time. And I think it's really refreshing, especially for actors who can kind of toil over things and really be set in a certain way. You don't really have time to do what you might normally do in like a 3-month setting.
That's absolutely true. I have a question specifically for Susannah, since, correct me if I'm wrong, this is your first production with 60-hour Shakespeare. And so I would like to know how you feel about this adventure and what is most exciting for you, and if there's something that scares you apart from our dreadful director. No, I'm joking. We all love him very much. So please, the floor is yours.
I mean, I'm really excited. I think what Nettie just said, although I haven't done it before, the fact that you actually don't have the time to kind of toil and get in your head, I'm hoping it's going to be a really, really loose and fun and playful experience. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it definitely is. So if Annie has anything to add or expand, maybe Kieran and Ant, since you are veterans of 60-hour Shakespeare. how do you feel about this weird world of crazy Shakespearean actors?
Well, it's utter lunacy, really. It's a terrible idea. It should never have happened. But seeing as it does, it is thoroughly enjoyable. And I think you're forced to trust each other a lot because you don't have a lot of time, and you kind of have that scenario where it's like when the lift breaks down and you're all stuck inside it, and you have to become friends and figure out a way to do a Shakespeare play together. You know what it's like. And basically, yeah, it's like that. You're kind of forced into this thing where you're like, okay, I'm going on stage. We've had 2 days of rehearsal. I have to trust this person with my life for the next 7 minutes until we get out of this scene. And it's brilliant fun. Absolutely brilliant fun.
Yeah, and especially when we've got fight scenes to do, you know, you literally do have to trust them with your life. I'm going to be honest though and say, like, I do this as a bit of a vacation. You know, it's 3 days doing something that I love, and yeah, it's very intense and that kind of thing, but that it adds a challenge to it, and I really relish the challenge. You know, the only thing I really dislike about it is that we only get to do one performance.
I agree. I totally agree. We should definitely do more, but it wouldn't be 60 hours anymore. Like, we should expand the name maybe, or do 2 production one after the one. I don't know. We're gonna ask Gavin about it, but I totally agree with you also, because I feel like I get the worst post-performance blues after these kind of productions, because you really become so close with your castmates. Like the energy is so strong that you feel kind of deprived of something important when all of a sudden it comes to an end. You're like, no, these people are my family, please. I want to stay with them forever. So I totally understand. I mean, not necessarily forever, maybe that was too much, but for a little while more. But yeah, I totally agree with you guys. So since we are doing Shakespeare, and I don't know in your part of the world, but where I am from, people that are doing Shakespeare are considered like very weird creatures. Like, oh my God, you speak Elizabethan English to each other? What does it mean? So I would like to know, for our audience out there, very briefly, how did you start your path as Shakespearean actors? What brought you close to these incredible playwright from the Elizabethan / early Jacobean period?
I'm happy to take this one if no one else does.
Please.
So I actually grew up hating Shakespeare. I couldn't get on with it. Over here, at least, it's taught in English classes and we study it. And my school in particular, they put on these massive musicals every year, but they never did Shakespeare productions. And then I went to drama school and I continued to hate it because I was no good at it. And then in my second year of drama school, one of my tutors, wonderful man named David Van, who unfortunately isn't with us anymore, he noticed that when we did the read through, I was awful. I could barely get the words out. But then in rehearsals, suddenly I was getting it. And he sent me off to get tested. And it turned out I had dyslexia. And he ended up offering me a much bigger role. The play we were doing was Antony and Cleopatra. And he offered me an opportunity to play Antony because someone had dropped out, under the agreement that I was off book for every single rehearsal. And so it was probably the biggest challenge I've ever had in my acting career. But playing Antony in that final production just really, really sealed it for me that Shakespeare was the way I wanted to go from now on. And I've never looked back. The majority of the roles I've played since have been Shakespearean ones.
It's an incredible story. I adore it. Yes, I think that Shakespeare has this kind of weird magic about it, that it becomes way more than just a playwright you like, but it becomes a sort of lifestyle somehow. I mean, to me, it personally affected my life when I started doing it, studying his plays so much that it became like a sort of magic spell. So that's why I asked. Anybody else has a story they want to share?
So when I was at school, we had to do a bit of Shakespeare in English classes and so on. I didn't find it particularly inspiring until I had an amazing teacher, Mr. Bridge. I've no idea where he is on the planet, if he's still on the planet, but he used to encourage us to get up and bring it to life, and nobody wanted to do it except me. So I used to get up and just do it all the time, and then yeah, after a while he just kept asking me, and then when we had our final little meeting of the school before I left the school and he retired, he said, "What are you going to do with your life?" I said, "I don't know. I want to do some Shakespeare." And he said, "When are you going to play Hamlet?" And I was like, "I don't know. How do I do it?" He said, "Well, you're going off to uni. Find a drama society. If they don't have one, start one. And then if they're put on Hamlet, audition. If they're not put on Hamlet, join up and then make them put on Hamlet. And then just give it a bash." And then that all happened, and that was history. Although it took a while. My first role was as the Sea in Twelfth Night, so I didn't have any lines. And being the Elizabethan Sea wasn't that much different to being a sort of modern day Sea, really.
Are you sure? I don't know. Maybe different ships, you
Yeah.
know, different kind of ships. Interesting. That's a nice story. Okay, my next question is a little bit of a challenge. So I don't know who's feeling brave, because we already said we're doing Othello. So who feels brave enough to tell the plot of Othello in 60 seconds? Joe, I think you feel brave tonight. You're feeling brave.
Sure. Our play takes place in Venice, and Iago has been passed over for a promotion. He's very jealous, and to kind of get revenge, he decides to suggest to Othello that his recently newly married woman, Desdemona, has the hots for the guy that he got passed over for, Michael Cassio. And he insidiously puts these little suggestions in Othello's ear, which kind of makes Othello really suspect Desdemona of being unfaithful. Because it's a tragedy, there is no marriage at the end. There's a lot of sword fighting and deaths at the end of the play. His plot is found out, but alas, too late for Desdemona, too late for Othello, and life goes on in Venice.
We have a couple more minutes before we call it a night. I have another acting challenge for you, and now this is for you all. I want you to invite people to our production in your character's style. Nettie, finish it all for us.
Don't listen to what anyone else has to say but me, Othello. Come see this play. If you don't see this play, you will be so jealous of everyone else who saw the play that you'll want to murder everyone you love and yourself. So spare yourself and your family. Come see the show.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for having this fun conversation with me. Thank you for being part of this project with me. Thank you, director, for having us doing this project. I cannot wait for the production. And so everybody come see the show, and let's give us all a big round of applause.